Hey guys, it's Madison again. I'm doing a book vlog for EKU, my English department, 102, all that good stuff. And today I want to review a book with you and kind of to give you a little background information beforehand too. So this book actually helped me determine my major when I came into EKU. I had been trying to decide between going pre-vet or going forensic scientist. And this book actually, I know it's a fiction book, but it kind of helped me figure it out, kind of figure what I wanted to do with my life, which is what everybody's trying to figure out when they grow up, right? But also, there's a lot of different genres in books. Just like in music, you can relate like rap or country or classical music. Different people like different genres of music. That's the same thing for books. And I don't think it's appreciated enough that there are different genres of books. Like, you can look at fiction and it'll be like historical fiction, or you can have fantasy, or you can have romance novels. Like, there's so many different things out there that, could spark somebody's interest. And relating this back to why kids stop reading, books that engage people or books that engage kids, and mostly, okay, if we're going to be realistic, most of the time it's fiction. Fiction is what gets kids excited because it creates imagination and excitement too. I notice that when I read, I get excited about certain things and I get this sad about certain things. I just get kind of emotional. Books affect me a lot. But there are so many different things out there that need to be paid attention to when either teaching reading or trying to get your kid to read, because if you're forcing them to read something they're not interested in, they're not going to take it seriously and not comprehend the words as well, or not even want anything to do with reading. And that's kind of why kids start to hate reading, and I don't blame them personally, because in high school we had to read Lord of the Flies. It's a good book, but it wasn't interesting to me, and I didn't like it, and I love to read. I would never put down a book because I didn't like it. And so reading that was really hard for me, just because I didn't like it. I didn't want to sit and comprehend it and be like, oh, wait, what is this? What is this? So that's just something to think about when you're deciding to read or deciding to go into reading or to pick a book when you go into the library and or a bookstore. Think about what your interests are and maybe research it first. Okay, do I want fiction? Do I want historical fiction? Do I want nonfiction? The books are almost endless with finding what you want. And reading helps you comprehend better. Being able to read helps you understand things better. And that's important to not only you, but when you're writing a paper or something like that. There's a lot of things that reading helps. And vocabulary too. I notice that when I read more, even if it's just random books, I pick up the vocabulary from the book, and then I can confuse people with smart words. Or words that they've never heard before. And what's really cool about reading too is I find that when I read, I learn more about context clues, and then I'm like, okay, I don't know this word, but I'm going to read into it and see what's going on. Read into it, see what's going on, and then I'm kind of like, okay, I think I know what this is, and then I'll look it up, and then most of the time, what it means is what I thought it was. So that's really cool. That just gives me so much satisfaction, and maybe it could you too. Who knows? Okay, so to the review. Today I am reviewing Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I don't know how to say her last name, but it is James Patterson presented. James Patterson is a fantastic author and has so many books. I'm sure, if you're looking for a book, you could find one that he has that you would like, because he has a lot. He's a pretty cool dude. So this book as you may have figured out, is about Jack the Ripper. This was, I think he was a homicide dude. Hold on, I'm going to the back of the book because it has some of the history in it, which is really cool. See? In the author's note, she gives you historical and creative libraries, which is where all of this was taken from. So, for example, she gives kind of the dates, the actual dates where Jack the Ripper was, or when, the murders occurred, stuff like that, which is really cool. So, and she does include the history behind these, and she has a couple other books that are like this. I think the third one that she came out with is Escaping Houdini, and the second one is Chasing Prince Dracula, or Hunting Prince Dracula. It's one of those two. But anyway, let's get to the book. So, in this book, it's a strong female character. She is actually the main person. So her name is Audrey Rose, and she is really big into forensic science. Forensic science, which would be like autopsying people, trying to figure out why they died, and trying to figure out, the murder scene, I guess you could say. So she picks up clues from the murder scene and the autopsy, and is able to trace it all back to one person and find the actual Jack the Ripper in this book. I don't think they ever found him actually in London, but she found him in the book, which is cool. That may be a spoiler, so spoiler alert. That was kind of sad, but that's okay. So, Stalking Jack the Ripper is, as I said, about Audrey Rose, and she, learns Jack the Ripper. Almost like if you were on a case study, where you see on TV where they have, one person gets really deep into a case, that's like Audrey Rose. She gets really almost intimate with what Jack the Ripper does and the way that he functions and the certain knives that he would use to create this cut, while others wouldn't be the same. She gets so intimate with what he does and his profile, I guess you could say, on Criminal Minds, his profile, that she is able to find him. And this book is about finding Jack the Ripper. And it's so engaging because almost every page is a new adventure, which it's all the same adventure, but it's a bunch of different little adventures to find him and clues. And I'm telling you that I did not expect the ending at all, which makes the book so much better and so much more enjoyable when I'm surprised. Because I've read a lot, and most of the time I can kind of figure out the plot, but this one was insanely cool. And it actually helped me figure out that I wanted to be a forensic scientist. That's why I know, it's dumb. A book helping you figure out, a fiction book, especially figuring out what you want to do with your life. But this one was so engaging and so cool. I was like, okay, forensic science, biology, definitely what I want to do. And autopsy people, etc., etc. And then I realized medical examiners do that. I didn't have to go to medical school. That's a side note. So, this is an amazing read if you love history as well as action. And there's not a lot of love mixed into it. I feel like almost every book nowadays has some sort of love interest or something, a relationship going on between a girl and a guy, etc., etc. But this one, I think it does. If I remember correctly, it does. But it's not a big step. It's mostly action and just really cool stuff. So I would suggest this book, Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. She's really cool. And this is, as I said, James Patterson presented. So it has his stamp of approval because he is such a famous author. I would definitely, that's why I picked up the book, because I was like, okay, it's a young adult book. So I was like, this sounds pretty cool. And because James Patterson looked over it himself and stamp of approval, I was like, definitely gonna have to get this book. So, but anyway, that was just Stalking Jack the Ripper. That was my review. I hope you guys enjoy and have a great rest of your day.